It's about the restoration of our republic. We want to educate, encourage, enable the power. We stand for integrity, honesty, self-reliance, self-defense, and most importantly, no compromise on our foundational principles. This is America's Voice Now.
Find America's Voice Now on Facebook and at americasvoicenow.org. Here's Michael Evans.
Good morning, America. You're listening to America's Voice Now. My name is Michael Evans, and I am your host this morning. America, it is time to arise and be counted, to be fearless and fierce, and to be courageous, and to speak out, even when your voice shakes. For still, if you will not fight for the right, when you can easily win without bloodshed, if you will not fight when your victory will be sure and not too costly, you may come to the moment when you will have to fight with all the odds against you and only a precarious chance of survival. There may even be a worse case. You may have to fight when there is no hope of victory, because it is better to perish than live as slaves. America, I'm opening with that this morning because we're going to talk about the open and blatant treason of the Trans-Pacific Partnership Treaty that is being negotiated on your behalf by a president who has and is guilty of high crimes and misdemeanors. And it is imperative that America begin calling for his impeachment and removal from office, not as an ideological punishment, merely to prevent further damage to our republic. The TPP agreement is open treason, and you're going to see that by the end of this program this morning. Our second topic of impeachment and how that is the answer to the TPP and Obamacare will show us a path to at least remove the danger, cease the activity, cease the threat to our republic. Because in our third topic, we're going to look at exactly how the republic is in exigent danger and under dire threat. And in our fourth topic, we're going to cover the federal whistleblower who admits that quantitative easing and QE 1, 2, 3, 4, and infinity all along were corporate bailouts. Our nation is on the cusp of collapse. Not financial collapse, although that's clearly at risk. But we are in a position where we are in the collapse of the rule of law. And our highest seat in the land has been usurped. And it's been usurped by a tyrant. It's been usurped by the President of the United States of America. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with one another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind require that they should declare the causes which impel them to separation. Because we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. And whenever this form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such a form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient cause. And accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind is more disposed to suffer while evil is sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the form to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. The Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is scheduled, well, first of all, it's been negotiated in secret for the past 5 years. It's been negotiated in secret because, by the trade representatives' own admission, the last one of these they did, where they enabled reports on what was incorporated in the documents, ended the negotiations. But this international treaty is being negotiated in secret. And it will destroy, utterly destroy the sovereignty of the United States of America. In addition to the fact that it will destroy the sovereignty of every other nation that is a signatory to it. This agreement is so dire, it creates an effective United Nations of corporate governance that will supersede individual nations' laws, the sovereignty of those nations. It will make taxpayers liable to pay fines and to pay for these corporations to have parity at your expense, while it will simultaneously prohibit even legislative control by the government over the process and those corporations. This is, ladies and gentlemen, a new world order with corporations in charge and governments subject to their rule. That is the definition of fascism. A merger of corporation and government interests, with the ultimate end result that the people are subjugated and they become the food of both. Your president, this president, has overseen this process, and he has ensured that it has been negotiated in secret so that you would not find out what was inside of this. Even for 5 years after the negotiations are complete. So not only are the negotiations themselves a secret, but the negotiations are secret for 5 years after they are complete. I think the reason for that is because, according to Ms. Pelosi, we have to pass it to see what's in it. But in this case, they don't even want us to see what's in it after they pass it, even though we're subjected to it. And this is flat out, unvarnished, blatant treason on the part of the executive in power currently today, the trade organization that is negotiating it, and everyone who works for this administration, who is involved. Now, WikiLeaks has disclosed one chapter. I believe there's 26. They got their hands on one, and they have released it. There are 2 that have been released. This one is on intellectual property. And I'm sure that renewed calls will be made to hang the messenger again. First it was WikiLeaks, then it was Snowden, now it's WikiLeaks again. But you see, Obama the traitor, and I use that word with its full legal implication, won't want to answer for this. So expect a lot of misdirection from the Ministry of Propaganda that is his mouthpiece, his megaphone, his blocker, his cover. This plan sells U.S. sovereignty to his multinational cronies. If this House will not take up impeachment soon, the next 3 years underneath the mantle of this usurper will utterly destroy whatever vestige of our nation is left. And ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you that we now see the proof of this man's fundamental transformation. This is the fundamental transformation he had in mind for us all along. There are a group of articles, and I've posted them up on our Facebook page and on our website. I will incorporate them into the subject or the box in the video stream for this. Because America, it is time for you to awaken. Still, if you will not fight for the right when you can easily win without bloodshed, and if you will not fight when your victory will be sure and not too costly, you may come to the moment when you will have to fight with all the odds against you and only a precarious chance of survival. An even worse case, and you may have to fight when there is no hope of victory, because it is better to perish than live as slaves. This story has been getting some traction, but only in alternative media. No one in the mainstream media has been talking about this. No one. And this treaty does directly threaten global government, all governments, any government that is a member. Congressmen are furious. They're not furious. They are apoplectic that they are being barred from having any discussion with this. Ron Wyden, who sits on the Trade Committee in the Senate. In fact, he is the chairman of the Trade Committee in the Senate. The man has such top secret clearance, ladies and gentlemen, that he knows the nuclear plans for the United States of America. He knows who's got the football, what the program is, what all the plans are for retaliatory strikes. He is fully informed about every aspect. His clearance is so high, he has equivalent knowledge to the President of the United States. And he is the chairman of the actual trade committee in the Senate that will be responsible to review and approve this agreement. His committee actually has jurisdictional control and authority over this agreement. And yet he and his staff, his entire staff, and every other member of the Trade Committee in the Senate have been blocked access to even see this document and its 26 chapters of treason. The truth is that what we have at this point is a nation of laws that are made by individuals, corporations, and powerful men in secret. And secrets always end in your suffering. These men in Congress, Wyden, Peter DeFazio, back in 2007, he was asking for these documents. He sat on the Homeland Security Committee, and he has high-level enough security access that he is briefed on the continuity of government issues about what happens if, the president were injured in an accident or in a nuclear exchange or in a war scenario where we were taken over. And even he has been refused access. The entire Homeland Security Committee of the United States Congress has been denied access to the plans. In fact, DeFazio came out and said, the people who think there's a conspiracy in there, or a conspiracy out there, maybe they are right. University of California, Berkeley professor Peter Dale, he came right out and said, if members of the Homeland Security Committee cannot enforce their right to read secret plans of the executive branch, then the system of checks and balances established by the U.S. Constitution seem to be failing. To put it another way, if the White House is successful in frustrating DeFazio and Wyden, then continuity of government planning has arguably already superseded the Constitution as a higher authority. The International Business Times has written about this. You have no idea how deep this program and this trade agreement goes. It will export, literally, it will export jobs from the United States in vast quantities. And I'm talking about vast. The goal is the complete and utter destruction of our way of life. It will offshore millions of American jobs. It will free banksters and specifically those too big to fail corporations that, by the way, 0.2% already control 70% of all the wealth in America. It will ban your own country from specifying a policy that says you must buy American first. In other words, if the government is going to source something out, it has to first attempt to buy American. It will decrease access to medicine and put global pharma tyrants in charge of the pricing of all medicine. All medicine. It will flood the United States with products that are unsafe, It will give foreign investors and foreign multinational corporations better treatment than it gives our own national industries and our own United States-based companies. And then, to make matters worse, it will empower corporations to attack our environmental and our health safeguards, and it will do so in an international tribunal that is above the courts of the United States of America. Furthermore, the 3 judges who sit on the panel are not judges, they are lawyers, and there are no conflict of interest rules. Are you beginning to smell the treason? It should be wafting across your nose like the stink of corruption and death. The nations who are negotiating this, to make matters even worse, are the United States. And listen to who these partners in crime are: Australia, Brunei, Canada, Chile, Japan, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore, Malaysia, and Vietnam, including China. And here's the worst part. The agreement, once in motion, is open-ended and can be joined by any other nation that so chooses to join and subvert their independent nation-state sovereignty to this multinational trade agreement. It will be the last trade agreement ever negotiated, because it will be the trade agreement to end all wars. This is setting up a corporatocracy that will rule the entire planet. It will be above the United Nations. It will be above the sovereignty of the U.S. courts. It will be above the sovereignty of the member nations who subject themselves to it. Corporations will have an opportunity to sue the United States for our environmental regulations that prohibit them from being able to do business. They will be able to get financial remuneration for that from our Treasury directly. Do you smell the giant sucking sound of what few dollars we have left as they are vacuumed away and the U.S. citizen is put to the whip to pay for it all? Now, while your U.S. trade representatives have been barred, while the U.S. trade representatives, while the representatives in the Commerce Department and Congress, who are responsible and actually have jurisdiction and rulemaking authority and the legal obligation to review these documents, they've been barred. But guess what? 600 corporations, I've heard an estimate of as high as 700, but I'm going to go with their number. 600 corporations have submitted their representatives to this organization to act as corporate advisors. They have full access to all of the text and the negotiations, while your member in Congress has been barred and prohibited. Ladies and gentlemen, it was done under the direction of Barack Hussein Obama. This is his plan. This is not a holdover from the Bush era. This all began under his watch. Members of Congress, journalists, no one as a watchdog group is permitted. Everyone is excluded, with the exception of the president, the trade representatives who are representing him at the negotiating table. Not us, him. And 600 corporate advisors who have greater access to a United States free trade agreement than your representatives in Congress. Ladies and gentlemen, that is wholesale, open, blatant, unvarnished, naked treason. I'm going to touch on this next segment, how and in what shape and form, so that you understand what constitutes a high crime, a misdemeanor, and treason. Because at the end of the day, if we do not get this under control immediately, if not sooner, we will find ourselves in a position where our entire nation has been separated from all levels of control on everything that affects you, me, our children, for not generations going forward, forever. You are seeing the development, the growth, the secret maturation of a secret world, global, corporate governance structure being built right before your very eyes. And it will supersede our Constitution. It will supersede the ability of lawmakers to even make laws that would limit it or effectively destroy it. This reminds me of the Monsanto Protection Act, where Congress, for the first time in known history in the United States of America, and perhaps known history of the world, have given a corporation the benefit of being able to say, even when our product has been proven to be detrimental to human life, neither Congress nor the courts can make any law or ruling that would prohibit us from continuing to produce and sell that product to the American public. This is the same thing, but it makes that look like a BB compared to a globe. You are seeing the science fiction level growth of a corporate governance control mechanism that will have control over all government. No government will have the right to even make laws that impact it and affect it. And we've only seen 2 out of 26 chapters. 2. And both had to be leaked by members of Congress themselves. We're going to take a break, but I'm going to tell you something. If you do not share this video or this audio broadcast with 25 people and then force them, based upon your influence with them, not ask them, make them commit that they will share this information with 25 additional people and continue down the road and that path with sharing and sharing and sharing. If you will not make that commitment, you may as well stand in front of your mirror today and declare yourself to be an enemy of freedom and liberty, because your act of omission is now an act of commission. You have guilty knowledge and you are refusing to pass it on. I'm throwing an open challenge. I am throwing the gauntlet down in front of every one of you that is listening to this presentation. I don't care whether you're watching it on video. I don't care whether you're podcasting it. I'm telling you, if you don't share this, you are guilty of the self-same betrayal. You've been listening to America's Voice. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, I'm going to explain to you the definition of treason, high crimes, misdemeanors, and we're going to explore how and where and under what circumstances this can be applied in this situation. Between this and the excruciating lies that were willfully and openly told to the American people in an effort to get through the concept of Obamacare and get it approved as a law, the president is now acting as an open usurper of power, authority, and law. This is an abuse of power. This is dictatorial, ladies and gentlemen, and it is time that Congress made it stop. We'll be right back. You can find us on the web at americasvoicenow.org. You can find our Facebook page where you can find all of these articles that I'm referring to in this discussion. You can find them at facebook.com/America's Voice Now. And you can find every podcast that we do up on our website and on our YouTube channel in video. You can find them there by going to youtube.com/America's Voice Now. You can download this audio podcast and make sure that everyone that you know gets it. Everyone. We'll be back in just a moment.